And we've only got 2 rounds to go. Joined alongside me with Jono, my former teammate, and of course double drivers world champion. How you doing, Jono?
I'm good, thanks, Nick. Evening, everybody.
So it's absolutely pouring it down here in Brazil, which isn't a surprise. It's a track where we often do get some heavy rain showers and some difficult weather, and Jono, looks to me like that is a very wet track.
Yeah, absolutely. That is full wet tyres for sure for everybody, which we know is tricky on this game. The full wet doesn't operate that well, so yeah, all the drivers' hearts will have sunk a little bit probably when they saw the weather, but you'd imagine with Brazil being known for its wet weather, the guys would have put in at least a few practice laps in these conditions you'd have thought beforehand.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need it. We're already seeing a few drivers come out onto track, and wow, it is definitely chucking it down that pit lane. Looks soaking wet. The track looks like it's just covered in absolute puddles. So rather than you than me is what I say to these guys out there as they're seeing Jamie already going off. And this is going to be a real test for these podium drivers, Jono, because you know, this is one of those tracks where grip is already relatively difficult anyway. So getting heat into the tires, finding out where to brake, where you can push. I mean, just look at the puddles on the track. This is going to be an absolute anybody's kind of qualifying session, as Dweller has rejoined.
Yeah, it definitely opens up potential opportunities for guys who perhaps don't have the ultimate pace in the dry. As you mentioned, super tricky conditions. The braking point to turn 1 will be a lottery for drivers, especially the first time round they come to it at full speed. And yeah, that infield section as well, with all those turns so close together, it's going to be really, really tricky. And I'm sure we'll see a few drivers making some mistakes in the next, well, 9 minutes and 40 seconds or so.
Yeah, definitely yellow flags. Ali's already retired. He's binned it coming up onto the hill, onto the main straight. So, yeah. Jono, I myself have been pretty close to that wall in previous seasons in that very car. It's not the easiest place to, although you're going full throttle, it is still difficult to get the power down through there in this sort of weather condition.
Yeah, I think in these conditions you need to be a bit careful on the throttle. Of course, we saw Max Verstappen with his amazing save in these similar conditions in real life, and yeah, definitely an aero track that can catch you. There is no margin for error there.
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing Greenfield getting out of the way. We've got a Ferrari of Matt Your Daddy and someone just in front of him. They're coming just through the first sector now, which is a really short first sector actually. So, oh, look at the oversteer they're struggling with in those cars. These are one of the wettest conditions I think I've ever seen, Jono.
Yeah, it is absolutely full out wet conditions. I think it's important. Hopefully the guys have fueled reasonably heavily. I think just put on a set of wets and just go round and round and round and build your confidence, find your braking points, find where the grip is and isn't, and not overdriving the car as well. That's what I find on this game. If you want to go quick, try not to go too quick, because it's so easy to get oversteer and to lock up the front tyres. So I think definitely being careful on the throttle and the brakes and just building up the speed for these 8 minutes will be the key to getting a good lap time in.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about confidence in these conditions and knowing when you can and can't push. Seeing Matt Your Daddy almost push Kev along on this lap, so he's caught Kev up, the Williams driver, and this is perhaps going to affect his lap for Matt Your Daddy. His home race, of course, in Brazil, so the Ferrari man, the only Ferrari for today's race, and he just crosses the line. Jamie at the moment sets the pace on a 122.1, and Bookster just comes and smashes that. Absolutely. No, Kian comes and goes even quicker. So, Jono, let's talk a little bit about the championship, because we've got 2 championships up for grabs tonight: the Podium Constructors title and the Podium Drivers title. We've got 2 teams who can win the Constructors, Williams and Sauber, and then we've got 3 drivers who can win the Drivers' Championship. However, Techno Thriller has completed his been to see the press. He's answered his questions. He's done his practice for this week, but he's nowhere to be seen, Jono. No one's heard from him.
Yeah, a bit of a mystery and a bit of a shame, you have to say, for all of us, because he's second in the championship at the moment, 16 points behind Kian, and within a good shot of the title. So super disappointing for him and for all of us watching that he's not here at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. So just to run you guys through exactly what the title race is looking at the moment, as these guys are Jonas joins back in, that brings us up to 14. So we have Kian, who leads this championship. We have Techno Thriller, who is 16 points behind in second place, and the Bookster is 23 points behind Kian in third place. So 7 points separate second and third, and then 16 points is the gap that Kian has to his lead at the moment. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Bookster's going to need to take some points off of Kian, and he's just jumped ahead of him on the lap times, but I do have a feeling you will see those change all the way until the end of the session as drivers grow in confidence, find out where they can brake, the lines they want to take, and yeah, hopefully we're going to see an absolute screamer of a race.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope yeah, the Booster and Kian can duel it out. They're certainly doing that at the moment in qualifying. I've ridden on board with both of them, and they're both driving well, and yeah, only a tenth between them at the moment. So yeah, they're looking good at the front there. But as we mentioned, the Bookster, he really needs Kian to, you know, he can only do his best and win the race, and then hope that Kian, either here or Abu Dhabi, drops points somehow. So yeah, the Bookster's just got to put the pressure on, try and win both races if he can, and then hope for the best with Kian in his final two races.
Well, we know that Kian has struggled this season with connection issues, and last week in Mexico he disconnected and he was down, I believe, to the lower end of the points, and he had to fight his way back up to fourth place just to try and salvage something. Bookster meanwhile went through and dominated to take the win, so as he comes now and sets another quickest lap, looks like he's taken your advice, Jono, and trading all the time. Dweller joins back in again. He was on a flying lap and he disconnected, so this is look like it's going to set between those two for pole position tonight, Jono.
It does. They've got a fair margin from the rest of the field. Just Stifler in third at the moment. It was sort of, I think Kian, he'd obviously love to get the job done here. There's obviously a lot of history at the Brazilian Grand Prix. I think the first race was in 1972, and there's been plenty of action-packed races and champions crowned here in the past. And I'm sure Kian would love to add his name to that list today.
Yeah, I'm sure he definitely would. Season 10 Drivers' Champion from the Podium tier sounds pretty good, and I'm sure he'd love to get his hands on that trophy. But whilst Bookster's here, he won't be letting him have anything just yet. So Bookster coming off the back, I believe, 10 podiums, as it looks like Gaza has just collided with Kian and pushed Kian completely off the track. No damage to the Williams car, but don't know who was at fault for that one. The Williams now back on track, and Gaza will continue. Bookster, what's he going to do? Is he going to finish this lap, or is he going to come in? He is coming into the pits, and dangerous pit lane here, Jonah, because you come in full speed. You need to make sure you get that car slowed down to avoid any penalties, of course.
Yeah, you certainly do. I'm sure the drivers would have found a braking point, at least for dry conditions. That means they can brake in time for the line. Of course, I'm not sure about the weather conditions for the race at the moment, but that could definitely be interesting if they've got to try and judge their braking point in damp conditions.
So we've spoken about the Drivers' Championship. We've got one other one, the Constructors, up for grabs. You've got Williams, of course, a former Constructors' Champion here at F1 TS Hub. They're in second place behind Sauber, who currently lead by 45 points. So there are 86 points up for grabs in terms of the teams, what they can achieve in the last two races, and Williams are currently 45 points behind. However, they do have one driver missing from the Sauber team today, which is Techno Thriller. We've spoken about that. So perhaps is this an opportunity for Williams to just come through and kind of steal this?
Yeah, it definitely opens the door for them, doesn't it? Of course, they've got Kian fighting on both fronts, so yeah, I mean, one car advantage is a huge advantage here. We know both Williams drivers are capable of getting a good result, and yeah, it could definitely open the door to steal the Constructors' Championship in the next couple of races.
So we only have over 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes left of the session. And we've got a few drivers still in the pit, so they'll be coming out with low fuel for one final run. Kian currently heads on a 19.9, I believe that says, with the Bookster in second, yeah. Stifler's in third, Kev's in fourth, Jamie's in fifth. It's very close between third to sixth position, where Gaza is actually. Only half a second covers him, and now Matt Your Daddy pops in and joins the party, so from third to seventh, it's looking pretty tight. Then you've got Razor in 8th, Spider Atlas in 9th, Greenfin in 10th, inside the top 10 today. Tejwar in 11th, Ali has retired, of course, in the 12th position. Dweller, he is currently in 13th place. The Sol Sauber looking to try and wrap up their Constructors Championship today, and he'll be wondering, where is my teammate? And as he's already disconnected a couple times. We do have Jonas, of course, which joined after qualifying. He will be able to race, but he won't be able to set a lap time in this session. 1 minute and 20 to go. Jono, if you had to call it, who's got pole, Kian or Bugster?
Wow, it's a tough one to call. You'd have to say Kian, obviously, with the advantage. He's got the lap on the board. It's often difficult just coming out the pits when you know you've only got one more shot at it. It's often difficult just to nail that lap. So he's got that lap in his pocket. He can give it his all now. The Bugster obviously chasing 3/10, which is a reasonable amount of time around such a short lap. Obviously only 2.7 miles, and yeah, that time may be difficult to find, but the Bugster, I'm sure, will go all out for it now.
Kian won't actually be able, Jono, to come out and set a competitive time. He doesn't have enough time left. He's in the pits. So himself and Kev, both Williams drivers,
I think Kian
is Kian out.
He's about to start a lap now. Yeah, he's about to start a lap.
Okay, on my screen it's showing that he's in the garage. And
yeah,
it's when I click on his name, it hovers over the pit lane. So you keep an eye on
board with him. Yeah.
You keep an eye on Kian. I'll keep an eye on the Bugster.
Yeah, well, Kian's gone a bit deeper to turn 1, so not ideal already.
This looks a tidy lap from the Bugster, the Force India driver, coming off the back of, is it 9 or 10 podiums now? I'm not 100% sure. I should know that, but 9 or 10 podiums, and it's looked a very tidy lap. That car looks stuck to the ground quite well. Qualifying session timer has finished, so anyone on a lap now will get to complete it. We got from 9th to 12th are all finished their laps, so we'll run through that in a minute. We've got the Bugster coming up the hill. He's going to be first across the line, I believe, Jono, so I'll ride on board with him. Here he comes, keeps it nice and tidy. It's going to cut the pit lane a little bit, yeah. Keeps it close to the wall. Where is this going to put him? And he stays, he doesn't improve, Jono. So, Kian, what's happening with him?
Yeah, he's improved the Bugster. He's got it down to just 2/10 or so, or less than 2/10, but it wasn't enough. I don't think this will be better from Kian. It's been slightly scrappy. He's been giving it everything, but it looks like he has got pole position either way as he exits the final corner now and heads up the hill for the final time. So yeah, we'll see if he improves, but either way, it looks like pole position will be his.
So there you have it. We've only got Gaza, who's yet to complete a time, so we'll just finish the session riding on board or from a camera view of his car, that nice looking Red Bull, as he heads up the hill. Round 19, of course. We only have 2 to go, including this one of season 10. We started back in October, and it's all come down to Drivers' Championship, Constructors' Championship. Gaza's going to cross the line, and I believe he stayed where he was. So we will get you full confirmation of the results very shortly.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting session. Actually, the drivers cope pretty well in the conditions.
So very close between the top two, as John had mentioned. Bugster did improve there on his last lap, but it just wasn't enough. Kian takes pole position. He leads this championship, and he starts in the perfect place to try and take the crown today. The Bugster, he starts in second. He needs to finish ahead of Kian today, or outscore him by, I believe, 2 or 3 points. Dweller starts in third for Selber, trying to get the constructors. Then you've got Matt Your Daddy, Jamie, Stifler, Kev, Gaza, Razor, Tejwar, Spider, Greenfin, Ali, and Jonas will start in 14th place. So, yeah, as you mentioned, the Bugster needs to beat Kian today, I believe. Is it by 2 points, Jono?
By 2 points, I believe, yes, because race wins means if they tie on points, Kian would still take the title.
So, there you have it. Yeah, so Bugster actually needs to beat him by outscoring by 3 points. More points than Bugster to guarantee himself. Yeah, 2 to do it. So, it's all out. Gloves are going to be off as they head down to turn 1. It looks light rain for this race session. Somebody's already clicked go, so won't have long to pick their strategies now, change their fuel. Jono, it's going to be an interesting one. Do you think these guys are going to be nervous, especially the championship contenders?
I think the championship contenders will definitely be nervous. I know I always was at this stage of the season. Even if I had a bit of a lead to the car behind, you always just wanted to get the job done. But they've just got to go out there now. I think once you actually hit the track and the lights go green, you put that behind you, just drive what you know, and try and get the job done. But certainly when they sit on the line, there will be a bit of nerves, I think, throughout the field.
So it looks like intermediates is the chosen tyre here today, and looks like there's a car stuck on the grid there. Looks like a Williams, which hasn't left, which appears to be Kian on my screen. Jono, is that the same for you?
I believe he's moving on my screen. Yeah, he's moving on my screen.
Okay, so he's just completely mucked up on mine. He's sitting on the grid. So we're going to have one of those races where, oh, it's so frustrating. We've got a championship up for grads and it's just the game's let us down. I just won't be able to see exactly where Kian is.
Yeah, I'll have to just try and update you as best I can. I can see all cars okay. But yeah, that's very frustrating.
Yes, it definitely is. Not what we wanted for tonight's race, but we're still going to bring you plenty of action here in Brazil. I wonder what the weather's going to be like for the rest of the race, Jono. It doesn't look like it's getting too cloudy above, so perhaps, in fact, the rain from this shot does look like it's coming down, but from the helicopter shot, it didn't actually look like it was coming down too much. So it'll be interesting to see what the weather does. Kian starts on pole position, Bookster starts alongside him, Dweller in third, Matt Your Daddy in fourth, Jamie takes fifth, that's a good result for him, Stifler in sixth, Kevin seventh. He needs to score some points for his William teams today to try and cut the deficit to Sauber. Gaza starts in eighth and he's just almost spun it on one of the last corners coming up the hill. Razart is in ninth position, Tejwa is in 10th, 11th is Spider Atlas, 12th is Greenfin, 13th is Ali, and Jonas, who wasn't able to quit qualifying. He's usually in the McLaren, but he joined late, and now he is racing the Ferrari for today's race. But yeah, Kian is still stuck on the grid on my screen, Jono, in about 5th place it looks like, sideways. So all the cars seem to be able to go through him. So I'll let you take this one away when the 5 lights go off, because I won't be able to call what's happening.
Okay, here we go then, 5 lights. And we're underway, and reasonably good getaway from the 2 leaders by the look of it. The Cyber in third also gets a good run. Bottas tries to hold it around the outside. Kian and the Boogster go side by side, but Kian manages to hold the position as they sweep into turn 3. But Kian, he gets a bit of a loose rear end there, but he manages to just about hold on to it. And as they come onto the straight now, Kian holds his lead with the Boogster in second, Bottas in third.
So it looks like a pretty standard start from me. It doesn't look like too many position changes. We're seeing some possible movements in the background into turn 4. But on my screen it showed that Kian went into the barrier starting from about 5th position. But as John has confirmed, he is actually in the lead of this race still. And the Bookster is not winning this one currently. So my timing screen is all messed up. This is hugely frustrating, and I can't believe I'm going to have to put up with this for 36 laps. So massive thanks to Codemasters for us all spending £40 on this game and having to try and guess where our championship leader is.
Yeah, that is frustrating. I'll try and keep you updated. He's already got a second lead over the Boogster, so it's been a good opening lap. I think Gaza was the main loser there off the line. He's down 4 positions into 12th. Other than that, it was pretty even Stevens, I think. Everyone pretty clean actually as well, which is impressive in the conditions. Everyone got their braking point pretty good for turn 1. And yeah, a nice clean getaway for all the drivers.
Yeah, definitely. So as they come up the hill, it is intermediate conditions as we mentioned. Oh, now Kian's just popped up in the lead on my timing screen, but he's at the last corner on my actual on track. So at least I can see where he is on the interval at the moment. Yeah. 1.1, is that the gap that you're seeing as well?
1.2 on mine.
1.2, so we're just about there. No, he's dropped down to last place again, so I'm going to have to put up with this all race long. We did see some movement, I believe. We've got Greenfin and Tejwa having a little ding-dong for the final points scoring position. Gaza back up to 10th now, after, as you said, he dropped down at the start. So Tejwa and Ali both in the Mercedes, of course, and Ali looks under threat from Jonas, is he gonna try on the inside here. Seems to have more grip at this stage in the race, but we've got Razart and we've got Greenfin and Gaza, who have just having a little battle for 9th and 10th position. Razart and Stifler are also close on track. You also got Kev just there in front, and it seems Matt Your Daddy is just behind Dweller as well. So perhaps this is looking pretty good so far, Jono.
Yeah, there's a few battles underway, and Razart looking quick there in 8th. I think he might be slightly disappointed with his qualifying session. We've seen him have a couple of good drives in wet conditions this season. So he'll be looking to make headway, and we've also seen him on track battling with Stifler in the Renault a few times this season as well. So those two should know each other's driving well by now, and hopefully they can have a bit of a good ding-dong battle.
Yeah, it's definitely what we all want to see. Let's switch down the order, because we can see, look, Razart tucked right under the Renault of Stifler. as they now exit turn 3. Jonas looks like he's got Ali. Yep, job's done. Yeah, Jonas does have Ali, so perhaps that was done into turn 1. Gaza, meanwhile, he's still sizing up Greenfin, putting on a nice defensive show at the moment, is that Haas driver. Takes the inside to turn 4. Yeah, I can see that. And switched over.
Gained the position.
Got the job done by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's it. He took the inside line there and made the move stick. So he's on the charge. Careful with his sights now in the Williams.
We're just seeing a little bit of contact there between what looks like perhaps Jonas and Gaza. Gaza's dropped down, cutting across the grass. Not sure whether Jonas was involved or just had to take avoiding action. But Gaza now down to 12th place. He's got Spider in the other Renault behind. You have to say he's a little bit out of position for his pace. So he'll be looking to fight back through the field. He is currently showing as last on my screen. Of course, we'll ignore Kian because he currently leads. What's the gap between the top 2 at the moment?
Yeah, the gap's still 1.3 seconds. Literally just trading lap times at the moment. Kian maybe slightly opening the gap by a 10th or 2 a lap, but nothing in it at the moment.
So nothing in it between the top 2. Of course, we're going to be keeping a close eye on them. Kian just needs to outscore the Bookster by 2 points. Techno Thriller, who sits second in this championship, isn't racing today, so it's always a shame when that happens. But we've got the Bookster versus Kian, first and second at the moment, and the Bookster needs to outscore Kian by 3 points to continue this battle. Will we have a new champion crowned tonight? Matt, your daddy gets a tank slapper.
Razart spinning round, he went for the move on the Spiffler, repassed him into turn 1. Razart then went to get the move position back again, but they made contact and Razart went spinning around and falls back to 10th.
Wing damage as well for Razart, his teammate. Well, I say his teammate, he's in a Ferrari today, but Jonas is just behind. I wonder if Razart's going to be too kind. They're separated by a point, of course, the 2 McLarens, Jonas and Razart, in the battle as well. So that's something I'm sure they want to finish ahead of each other. I think it was Jono from 8th to 16th place in this podium tier in the driver's standing. They're separated by a race win, so expecting lots of movements in the championship in these final 2 races.
That's it, final couple of races, and yeah, you want to end the season on a high and try and finish as high up as you can. So we expect to see people going for the moves if their chance is there, as we saw with Razart, but that will hurt him now with that wing damage in these conditions. And we see him running wide out of the last corner, so he's continuing for now. But wing damage and wet weather at Brazil don't go hand in hand very well, I don't think.
No, you got that spot on. We can see is the gap below a second between the top 2. It's showing on my screen 9/10 of a second at the moment.
It's 1.2.
1.2. So the timing screen, I believe it's as they cross the line and then it stays there because it isn't moving.
Yeah.
So that's perhaps going to be a race-long battle of times, but the Bookster's going to have to at some point try and go for something because he's almost got nothing to lose, Jono.
Oh yeah, he's just got to win the race. He's got to find a way by somehow. Early in the race yet, so if he can keep the gap, you know, about this mark, 1.2, 1.3 seconds for now, I think he'll be pretty pleased. But obviously at some point in the race he does have to start trying to move onto the gearbox of Kian and try and make a pass. But obviously we don't know whether the race is going to dry up. Perhaps he knows more than us about what will happen later on in the race. But for now he's just got to keep that gap as close as he can and wait for an opportunity.
We've got a bit of a 4-way battle here. We've got Tejra versus Greenfin versus Razart versus Jonas. So this is 8th to 11th place. They're all following each other as they head up the hill. And looks like Razart's got the best run at the moment. Where is he going to go? Greenfin gives him room. Come on, switch over camera. Is Razart still there on the outside? No, he's had to pull back in. So just wasn't able to get the run on this Haas drive. Greenfin is doing a pretty job of defending so far this race. And goes a little bit deep there, has an oversteer moment. Is this going to allow Razart to come back? Jonas has left the session. He'll try and get back in. Oh, no, there's contact. There's contact, and Razart's in the wall. That was a mixture of the conditions, and I think just both drivers not giving each other just enough room that they needed.
Quite enough room there. They just got slightly stuck together, you can see, and they both just started getting pulled to the left-hand side. And now Razart will definitely be pitting the end of this lap. I think he was so compromised with that wing damage anyway. He was falling backwards. And yeah, I think now he will certainly be thinking he should have pitted after the first contact. And yeah, from looking to move forward and battling his way to 7th, he now finds himself down in 13th and with a pit stop still to make.
So we'll wait for Kian to cross the line, and I'll get an update on the gap between the two of them. 1.5 it's showing as they cross the line.
Yeah.
So slightly bigger, and we keep talking about it. Jonah, what are the conditions? It doesn't look like there's too much rain on my screen now.
No, it's only light, very light rain, I think, and yeah, certainly comfortable into conditions. There's been quite a bit of grip out there actually. Guys were able to corner quite quick and brake quite late. So I think the conditions are pretty good. And as you mentioned, maybe less raindrops falling than there was at the start of the race as Razor enters the pits.
So Razor in the pits to fix that front wing. Is he going to gamble here on maybe a dry set of tyres? I think it might be too soon. DRS of course disabled, so that's going to hinder overtaking around this track. It's all going to have to be done on mistakes. Is he gambling? He's gone to the medium, so let's have a switch over to Razor in a minute. He's oh no, is he on supers now? He's on supers on my screen now.
Yeah, it's switching about a bit for me as well.
Let's wait until he exits.
He's on the super soft to me at the moment.
Yep. So this is either make or break for Razor here.
Yeah, I think you may as well go for it. As you mentioned, it is drying out, and you may well he had nothing to lose anyway, and the other drivers will certainly be looking at how he gets on. Although he's struggling for traction hugely as he exits the pit lane, so perhaps it's slightly too early. But I guess in his position, he had no other choice but to gamble.
Yeah, I don't think he would have wanted to put another Inters on just for a few laps, but it definitely looks very tentative in that McLaren at the moment, and it just needs, the rear's just sliding. So Dweller's in the pits as well, Jono. He pitted from, I believe, 3rd position, or 4th position, 3rd or 4th, him and Matty Day. He's gone onto the soft, so has he called this right? We've got Tejwar in, coming into the pits now as well. We've got Gaza coming in, who actually gets a... So Tejwar gets a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
Gaza actually went through him as they came into the pit. Spider Atlas is also coming in. Perhaps they're seeing something. Ali's going to get another penalty. That's no surprise there. They're all gambling perhaps on these tyres. Is it the right time, or are we just missing
Possibly,
something?
The Boogster as well, falling off the back here now, up to 2.6 seconds now the gap. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens this time round between these two guys. They come to the final corner, well, the final proper corner now. I guess the Boogster, would he just copy Kian, or would he try and do the opposite and try and gain some advantage?
We'll keep an eye on fastest lap when Razor crosses the line. Yellow flags in sector 1 and 2. I wonder what that's for. I had a good view of the exit of the pit lane as all those guys who pitted were coming out. We did see a brief shot of the safety car, so that'll be the only time you see a safety car in this game. So I just thought I'd throw out, and that's what it does look like in case anyone forgotten. Yeah, Matt, your daddy in up to 3rd position now on the podium at his home race. So it's looking a good, strong performance for tonight for him. Look at Kev as well. So we haven't spoke much about Kev or Jamie. They've just been battling around in 4th, 5th and 6th so far this race. Lap 9 out of 36, Jono.
Yeah, you have to say Kevin and Jamie just going about their business, and as they often do, they can be two drivers that just seem to get the job done and run their own races, as they are doing here, and they've continued for another lap, as have Kian and the Boogster, but we must be getting near that crossover point now. Got a mixture of strategists as well, Razas and Ali onto the supers. The other guys who pitted have pitted the soft. So interested to see which tyre is the right way to go. I think we have seen in other races in the past, I think Razas went for a softer strategy, but then had to two-stop from there, and it did cost him at the end. So plenty of strategy options to play out yet.
Yeah, that was in Japan, if you remember. He led that race for a little while. And riding on board with Green Finn, he's actually able to carry more speed through the corners than Dweller is on his soft tyres. So is that an indication? He can brake later as well. Is that an indication that perhaps it just isn't time yet? It's interesting to see what's exactly going to happen between these two, because now it looks like Dweller got a bit of a better exit. So perhaps it's one of those crossover points, Jono, where it's just both tyres are similar pace.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess if you're going just as quick on the Inter, you may as well continue, because then when you do fit the dry tyre, you've got fresher tyres for later on in the race. So while you can match the dry tyres runners' lap times, you may as well continue.
Meanwhile, Jamie's dropped a position to Kev up to 4th, and now he's under attack from Stifler, so we can only presume he's made a small mistake just before the last proper corner that you have to brake for on this circuit, and now he's under attack from Stifler. who is in the Renault, of course, and both on the intermediate tyre still, so they obviously feel that that's the right tyre to be on at the moment. And Jono, let's just have a quick look. We got Kian in first and Kev in fourth position. So between the two of them, that's 32 points. That would close the gap down to, if my maths is correct, 13 points. Yes, 13 points.
Yeah.
Dweller, meanwhile, is in seventh. So he would obviously gain, what's it, 6 points for that, as DRS is enabled, or 6 points for seventh position. So they definitely take a few points off the Sauber driver. So top two into the pits.
Absolutely.
DRS is enabled now, so perhaps it's time. And sliding the car is Dweller. So he was in third position, I believe, before his stop. Where will he come out between these two? Talk us through the pit stops of these leaders, Jono.
Yeah, both in the pits now. It looks like, certainly at the moment, the game is telling me that Kian has gone for the super softs and the Bugster has gone for the soft. We'll see if that is actually the case. I believe it is. So we've got different strategies from our lead two cars, and that'll be very interesting to see how that works out later in the race. And sort of surprised Kian didn't just fit the hardest tyre he could there and guarantee he can get to the end. But he knows the life of the tyres better than I do. And they both rejoin, and the gap is 1.5 seconds. So the Bugster gained perhaps nearly a second there through the pit stop.
Just to confirm, it looks like it's sorted itself out in terms of Kian and Bugster. They both look like they exited the pits on my screen, so perhaps they've resorted it. Matt, your daddy, is in third, so that hasn't worked out for Dweller, that early stop. And a right mix of strategies. Kev also lost, didn't lose a position, but it looked like he had a slow stop. I'm not sure why. It looked like he bounced into the pit lane wall as he was exiting his pit box, but perhaps that's just some little bit of lag. Jonas's computer is also in the pits, so he's the last driver to change from intermediate. So look at that mix up of strategy: soft, super, super, soft, super, soft. As Kev almost spins it, is that going to? Jamie goes through. So the conditions, Jono, are still tricky as Spider leaves the session.
Yeah, definitely tricky. Still a bit of spray coming off the tyres, as we can see. So. Whoa, as Jamie nearly loses the rear and spins himself there. And again, looks to be very little grip around that corner there on the soft tyres.
Ali's
so
retired.
Drivers need to. Oh, he's retired.
Spinned it up the hill.
Drivers struggling.
Not up the hill, sorry, John. That's on the way down to turn 4, I believe. So Dweller sets the fastest lap. Ali having a bad Friday night, and this will be one to forget for him. He is out of this race. Will we see a safety car? I'm not too sure. Just to let you know, Kian's timing is all messed up again on my screen, so ignore that. Okay. Kian is not in 6th, and we'll rely on Jono to keep me updated. But Ali out of this race, crashed out of quali, and now he's crashed out of the race.
Kev and Jamie. Kev right behind Kev as Jamie as they go to turn 4. But at the moment, their drivers seem powerless to do anything into turn 4 there. It's often an overtaking opportunity on this circuit.
Matty Daddy's spinning.
Drivers aren't able to get close enough.
Matty Daddy spun the car. He's able to get it back around the right way without fully spinning. Dweller goes through though, so it is looking really tricky in these conditions, John. They all seem to be struggling to get the power down.
Yeah, they do. It certainly seems like the grip just isn't there yet on the dry tyres on either compound. Kian has built the gap though back up at the front to 2.4 seconds, so he is eking that gap out as he now sets the fastest lap so far, the 1:17.3. So yeah, the crucial thing in this race could just come down to the tyres and at what pace on those super softs.
So as things finish now, Kian will be crowned the podium tier champion of season 10 if things finish as they are, but I'm sure Bugster's got plenty to say about that. We've still got a few laps left, 13 out of 36, so we've got a long way to go in this one. And Dweller up into 3rd position after that mistake from Matt your daddy, and that means Sauber are back on the podium. Kian, it's so confusing when every time the screen pops up Kian's at the front, then he's back down in God knows where position. But Greenfin, give a shout out to him. He's having a good race in 8th position at the moment. So, John, we've also got this battle between Haas and Red Bull in the Constructors Championship. And Greenfin, the only driver in the Haas, Gaza, the only driver in the Red Bull. And guess where they are on track? Line astern.
Yeah, that just sums up the season, doesn't it? They're battling for the position in the table and battling on circuit as well in 8th and 9th. And Greenfin driving a good race so far. He's kept it neat and tidy, and yeah, looking to pick up points for Haas.
So Haas are 2 points behind Red Bull for 9th and 10th in the standings as far as the teams go. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on for the rest of the season. They've been pretty close throughout, and I wonder who's going to finish on top. Maverick's, I believe, skiing this weekend, which is why he's unable to attend. So hope you have fun skiing. You wouldn't need to leave the UK for that, though, Jono. I'm sure you'll be getting your skis out tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I've only got to step out the door to get the skis on. Yeah, no need to go abroad for me.
Good stuff. So what's the gap now between Kian and the Bookster as we cross the line for lap 14?
Yeah, the gap is 3.4 seconds, so he's continuing to build that gap now by 3 or 4 tenths a lap. Obviously, the different tyre compound is giving him a pace advantage at the moment. So, you know, only time will tell whether the Bookster's made the right call there and whether, you know, he can get the position or the time back later in the race.
The Haas and the Red Bull of Gazza and Griffin trying to break the slipstream and going from one side of the track to the other as Kian sets another fastest lap of the race. So yeah, drivers on different compound as Tejwar comes into the pits now. This will be his second stop. He's putting a new front wing on as well. Jonas has rejoined, so will he be able to get back in his car? We'll have to keep an eye and see if he does. He did warn that he was having connection issues tonight, Jono, so that explains his disconnections. Tejwar, he moves ahead of Tejwar, who's going to exit the pits on the, says on my screen, the mediums, but on his actual car he's got the red tyres on, so just another bug that we won't spend too much time. Matt Your Daddy versus Dweller side by side. Is Matt Your Daddy going to go around the outside? He does just that. What a move that is into turn 4.
Yeah, a great move. We said we hadn't seen a move there yet, and we have now. That was a great move by him. Moves up into third, and yeah, a 15-second gap though to the car ahead. So Matt Your Daddy doing all he can to move into that podium position at the moment. But yeah, now he's got plenty of clear track ahead of him to try and push and to see what he can do.
Yeah, Gazza meanwhile has got his DRS slapped wide open as they also enter into turn 4 now. And still following the Haas driver through this middle section of the track. It's difficult, I think, here, Jono. If they're struggling with traction, they'll be struggling to try and get a better exit than the car in front, which perhaps is hindering some overtaking in these tricky conditions.
Yeah, I think it is making it difficult for the drivers, as you mentioned. Traction proving to be really difficult, and it isn't allowing them to get a good enough run down into turn 1. And we're also seeing there, being on board with Gazza, the turbulent air from the car ahead in that middle sector, particularly on the long turn 6, it's just causing him understeer, and he just can't stay with Greenfin through that sector very well. So it is making it extremely difficult to get close enough to make a move.
We've got Kev versus Stifler. They went side by side all the way down the back straight. It looks like Stifler's got the position. He's got the inside line into turn 4. What can Kev do? He can't do anything about it. Stifler hits his apex, runs it out wide, and Kev just has to concede the position. But another good move there, and another good battle that is going to hopefully continue for the rest of the race. Both on the same tyre, though.
Yeah, both on the same tyre, and I wonder if Kev has got the Constructors' Championship in the back of his mind as well. He doesn't want to get involved in any contact if he can possibly help it. But yeah, good move by Stifler up into 6th now. And the gap between the leaders is just under 4 seconds, 3.9.
So 3.9 seconds away is Bookster's Championship hopes. But we are on lap 17 now out of 36. So plenty of this race to go, and of course, Jono, with different tyres compounds, you'd expect the reverse to happen perhaps in the second half of the race. If they were to go on the opposite tyres, that Bookster would be the one hunting Kian down.
Yeah, you would imagine so. If he can keep that gap as little as possible, else all he can do is just try and minimise the damage at the moment and hope it comes to him later. The Bookster, though, did look to be struggling a bit towards the end of that interstint with rear traction, so whether that means he's been a bit harsh on the tyres, as Jamie, I think, is facing the wrong way in turn 4, I believe that is again.
Yeah, he's left the session.
Down the order.
I think he left the session, so he'll have to rejoin. As he left the session, that's what actually, his car actually then skidded. So he's rejoined. Yeah. I'm sure he'll be able to get straight back in that Toro Rosso or ride on board, but he's lost 2 positions now because of that. And he was doing so well in 5th. And Jono, I was riding on board with him, and I was going to ask you, he's retiring at the end of the season. But if he keeps pumping in these top 5 finishes, do you think that'll change his mind?
Yeah, you have to say he's had a good run of form, but since he said he's retiring, it seems to have he's just unleashed the shackles a little bit and has just driven for the fun of driving, and he's picked up some really good results and been some good wheel to wheel as well, which we know he was not enjoying too much early in the season, but he's really impressed the last couple of races. He seems to still be set on retirement at the moment, but only time will tell.
Yeah, definitely time will tell, and he's got work to do now, currently in 7th position, and it's cost him so much time, that little disconnect, and he was jumped straight back in the lobby, so it just shows you little disconnection, and it cost you a lot, as Kian can tell you already. He'd have won this championship, John, if he hadn't had all the disconnections in the middle of the season. What's the gap between the top 2 now?
It's 4.6.
4.6, so just a few tenths a lap. Still, John, it looks to be increasing.
Yeah, that's it. 2 tenths, 3 tenths a lap. Consistently, I think they've been on board with both. They both look to be driving pretty similar. I think it is mainly the tyre delta that's giving him that couple of tenths advantage, as you'd expect, I guess, every lap. I don't know, the Supersoft will start dropping off, I would think, though, you know, in the not too distant future, so we might see that equalise out soon.
Stifler spun it, so Stifler spun it. He's got wing damage as well now. Kev has gone through. It won't be long before Jamie gets up to him. Yellow flags, and he's struggling. Oh, he's spun it now. Someone else has spun it ahead of him. Kev spun. So Kev manages to keep it out the wall. No wing damage. Is Jamie going to sail right through the pair of them now and regain that 5th position that he was holding ever so sternly? Who's that into the pits? That looks like Stifler's coming in. So wing damage. He doesn't want to put up with that any longer. Jamie, meanwhile, is going to chase down Kev for 5th position again.
Yeah, Jamie could be given a bit of a lifeline there. He's definitely gained him a fair chunk of time back. He's got Stifler, and Kev is now, you can see him ahead of him now going into turn 4, so he's got a carrot to aim for now, and hopefully he can close that back down and give us a bit of a battle. Yeah,
meanwhile Gaza has got past Greenfin, so those vital championship points, and Greenfin just goes a little bit wide at turn 4. Vital championship points is in Red Bull's hands at the moment. Of course, we do have one more round after this one to go, and Jonah, what a season it's been so far.
Yeah, it's been absolutely action-packed, and all the way with drivers trading blows. You've had different drivers at different stages of the season who've looked quicker and like they might start to dominate, but then it's swung the other way, and drivers have fought so hard and worked hard to earn their position, and it's great to see, even late in the season, the effort they're putting in to try and get the best result they can. And you definitely say whoever gets this championship, it will be hard fought and well deserved, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can't deny whoever wins. Obviously Techno Thriller ruling himself out of it by not being able to attend today's race. He was having such a good season. He led it as well in after the summer break, I believe, when he took over the lead from Lemaine. And it just seems to have imploded with a couple of incidents with back markers that, you know, have probably cost him the biggest. So they've all had incidents that have cost him, but it's about who finishes the season. Of course, the last man standing on that top step. And at the moment, Kian is leading the Bookster. If he finishes like this, just to remind you, he will be crowned the Podium Tier Season 10 champion.
Yeah, he will, and he's doing everything he can at the moment. He's, you know, driving a perfect race up to now, 6-second gap. And as you mentioned, like, you know, whoever doesn't win this championship, the runners-up will definitely feel that it was within their grasp, Techno and the Booster. If they didn't win this championship, they would definitely feel that if they'd done a few bits different, had a few races that just went slightly better for them, they could have been there themselves. But they've all set themselves up well either way for the seasons ahead, and they've, you know, all this grid have impressed me a lot this season. There's been brilliant driving throughout and a great atmosphere off track as well. It's been great to see. It
has. The Podium boys are A-class students as Kev comes into the pits now, and what we're going to see strategy-wise now from Kev in the Williams, is he going to fit on, looks like it's a soft tyre to me. Well, yeah, it is a soft tyre, so will he be able to take that to the end, Jono? It's lap 21 out of 36, 15 laps. I will go because it is a short lap here, but I imagine graining will be quite high through that middle sector at the same time.
Yeah, I think he'll obviously be intending to get to the end from here. I think the tyre will do it. But then we did have Stifler who pitted just a lap or two before after that wind damage and fit the medium. So obviously, you know, it is on that bit of a edge as to decide which tyre to go for. But I guess the soft tyre is definitely the quicker. So if you think you can get to the end on it, then it's definitely the way to go.
He's come up behind green film, so it's going to be important here for him to get past the house driver as quick as he can. And Jono, I was just gonna ask you a question. Obviously, in season 4, you lost the championship. You were leading it into the final race in Abu Dhabi by half a point. And after the season, did you look at your results and did you pinpoint and think, if I had got a few more there, or if I hadn't made that mistake there, that, you know, I would have been champion? Or did you just take it and say, I did my best and that's what it is?
I genuinely felt I did do my best. I definitely put the effort in and drove as hard as I could every single race. Obviously, everyone makes mistakes over the season. You try and put them behind you and forget about them, because that's the best way to move forward, I think. But obviously, there's always things you could have done better. Nobody can drive a perfect season, no matter how good you are and how much effort you put in. But I did come out of it pretty happy that I'd done the best I can, and, you know, Ermi, fair play, was the better driver that season, and I couldn't take it away from him. The driver who won it, you know, deserved the title.
We've got Matt Yodaddy and Kian in the pits, Jono. So Matt Yodaddy's gone over to the supers. No, sorry, Matt Yodaddy is just coming in now on the supers. Kian has gone on to the softs as we expected. So this should mean that in not a few laps, but perhaps lap 20. It won't be too long actually before the Bookster's in for his set of supers, and he'll be absolutely pushing that Force India, I imagine, to the absolute edge of what it's capable of doing.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. I was just about to mention to you actually that last lap the gap had equalised. The last couple of laps it stayed at 6 seconds. So I think that was the right time to pit from Kian. It was just about to tip the other way and the tyre be slower than the soft. So he's come into the pits and put on the fresh set of softs. He'll now be quicker than the Bookster obviously until he pits for the supers. And yeah, so we could look, you know, you could have an 8 or 10 second lead by the time the Bookster hits and rejoins. So I think it'll be a tough ask to put it back from there.
Matt Yodaddy's lost a bit of time there through the middle sector, being behind Spider Atlas, and Dweller's closed him up a little bit. So the Selva driver, this third place on the podium, is still up for grabs between these two. They've been fighting all race long, chopping and changing who's taken turns to lead, but definitely an interesting battle between those two, and it'll be interesting even more so between the top two when the Bookster comes into the pits, because I imagine that Kian will be gaining time all through this soft stint on fresh tyres, and it's just going to be a case of how much time can Bookster gain back. But what will be going through Kian's mind? You know, he's lap 24 now out of 36. He's 12 laps away from being crowned the champion. And what do you think will be going through his mind?
I think in the back of his mind, obviously, we'll have the championship. But I think this is the ideal race for him right now. He's in clear air. The race is in his hands. It's in his control. I think he knows he's got the pace at this point, and he'll just be putting in the laps, watching that lap counter tick down. I'm sure it'll be ticking down for him a bit slower than it usually does, just wanting the end of the race to arrive. But yeah, I think it's the ideal race. You don't want to have any, you just want to be able to run your race, and that's what he can do at the moment, so I'm sure he's happy about that. The gap is coming down quickly as well. It was 14.5, it's now down to 12.9 already, 12.8 now. It's coming down extremely quickly, so he's taking big chunks out of the Bookster before he pits again.
So just coming out of the pits now after their stops, we've got Kev, Jamie and Stifler all separated by under a second. So this is for 6th, 7th and 8th, which I believe will become for 5th, 6th and 7th when Gaza makes his second stop. And this is going to be an interesting one, because all these drivers, of course, nothing to lose. But the Williams driver, Kev, needs to score solid points for his Williams team to try and help their bid to win the Constructors' title. The double is what they're after, of course. Kian is after the drivers, but I'm sure Kev will be doing his utmost to try and score the most points he can for his team. Gaza's in the pits now, so perhaps one of the last to pit. Razart and Spider also in at the moment.
And Jamie going for the move into turn 1, but he thinks better of it. It looks like he may have the pace advantage over the Williams driver, and Bookster's in the pits okay.
So 10 laps, this is going to be Jono on these super soft tyres, and as soon as he comes out, I'll ask you for there's a safety car again. Hello there. I'll ask you for the exact gap so we can work out within 10 laps, divide the gap by 10, and that's how much he's going to have to take out of the Williams driver in order to, that's just to catch him.
Yeah, absolutely, that's just to catch him, and I'm just going to wait for the gap to stabilise as he exits the pit lane. It's 8 seconds at the moment, it's saying, 8.1. So, like you say, that's going to be a big ask. To close that gap down, it will come down, I'm sure, for the first few laps, and those fresh super softs, he will be flying. But I'm not sure it will be enough. 8 seconds in 10 laps just to close the gap, as you mentioned, without even going for the move. I think it's going to be an extremely tough ask for the Bookster from here.
Meanwhile, we've got Jamie, and we've also got Kev and Stifler. And Stifler is right attacking Kev at the moment. Kev goes defensive. He's going to get DRS from Jamie though, so that's going to help him into the first corner. And look at Stifler right on his tail. They both brake for turn 1. Yep, he has. You're right there. He spun it. Oh, that's such a shame, John. I was looking forward to that one. Yeah, that was a shame. I was on board with Stifler at that point, and he just touched the right-hand front tyre onto the grass, and then as he touched the brakes, the car just came round on him. Just ran out of track there and paid the price, and yeah, that's put him now way off the back of Kev and Jamie, and yeah, shame that. I was looking like it was setting up for a good battle there, but just a few millimetres off the track, and he paid for it. Yeah, a couple of mistakes there from Stifler. We saw him move down from the podium tier earlier in the season, and he looked like he was going to be challenged for podiums, but for whatever reason he hasn't been able to do that. Kev, meanwhile, is going to chase down Jamie. They're both really good guys, both who are on our team that help run the league, and of course no favoritism between these two, but Jono, who do you think is going to finish 5th, and who do you think is going to finish 6th? Well, you'd have to say Jamie looks like he might have the pace advantage at the moment. We know he disconnected and dropped behind Kev. He's then made his way back through and taken the lead, taken the position back again. So you'd have to say at the moment Jamie does look like he's looking good for 5th place, I think. Matt Your Daddy is 1.2 ahead of Dweller as well for 3rd, so that's a scrap that isn't over yet. They're both on the same tyre. Kev and Jamie also on the same tyre. What's the gap though between the Bookster and Kia, and that's what everyone wants to know. Yeah, the gap is 7.1 seconds, so he's taken a bit out of him, but yeah, at the moment it would just be enough to put him on the gearbox of Kian by the end, but that would mean continuing this pace, which I'm not sure he can until the end of the race. Well, if he's got some magic, now is the time that he's going to need to cast his spell, because it looks like Booksters Championship hopes are almost over. But Johnny, you have to say, Kian hasn't put a foot wrong today. He got pole position, he's led away every single lap, he's pitted at the right time when he needed to, his strategy looks spot on, and he's going to walk away with a big smile on his face, I'm sure. Yeah, it looks like he's prepared well for this race, and it's all gone to plan so far. Obviously a lot can still happen until you've crossed the finish line. Anything can happen, especially in this game, but yeah, at the moment he's doing everything right. So nobody else within DRS at the moment. And we've got the closest battle is Dweller versus Matt Your Daddy. So we'll just obviously thank everyone for watching again today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're not too shy of the 100 mark, and we want to hit that before the end of the season. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on Twitter at F1TS Hub. Lots of live race updates going on over there at the moment. And of course, we have lots going on through the week with our off-track activity. All throughout Monday to Sunday. Jono, we've also got the website. Taking no more sign-ups for Season 10 because we don't have very long left. Of course, only this race and Abu Dhabi to go. But Season 11 news will be coming soon. We have a special announcement next Friday at 6 PM live at F1TS Hub on YouTube. So make sure you don't miss that one. It's a special announcement. We got some exciting news to announce. So I'll be here to give you exactly the details of what I'm talking about, but I can't say no more. Yeah, I know it's going to be an exciting announcement, that's for sure. I'm sure everybody will be tuning in for that, including myself, to get involved. And yeah, extremely exciting stuff ahead, that's for sure. Techno Thriller has just joined the session. Yeah, so the man that started this race in 2nd place in the championship has just joined. I wonder why he's been delayed and unable to get in time for this race, and he'll be looking at the moment the top 2, and he'll be going, that is my championship over. We just saw a Haas driver there get out of the way for Matty Daddy nice kindly, and just shows you what a great sport Green Finn is, and a great addition to the league he's been since he joined.
Yeah, he has been a great addition. Good driver and good potential for the future as well. And we know he's liked by the drivers off the track as well. So yeah, good stuff from him in this race so far. The gap, by the way, 6.5 seconds. So he's still eating into it, but not by very much.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be enough at the moment, does it, Jono? 6.5. He's got a way to go, 6 laps to go, including the one plus the one they're on. Sorry, so it looks like time is running out, and Kian, he's just got a few laps to go to try and convert this pole into a win and crown it. You know, he joined this season from the start, Jono, and he was always destined to do well in this podium tier. But we can't start talking too early because I'd hate to commentate a curse him, but I'm just getting excited because I think he's truly deserved it, and he'll be a fantastic champion for us.
Yeah, he absolutely will. Be fantastic. He'll be, of course, the first podium tier champion if he manages it as well. So he can definitely write himself into the F1 history books, and which will make it extra special for him, I'm sure. And yeah, 5 laps to go until he can take that title.
Yeah, of course, a premium member, so there'll be a trophy arriving at his door after the season comes to a close. And of course, we have all our champions crowned for the podium at 7 p.m. and the pinnacle at 9 p.m. So, yeah, the pinnacle's up next at 9 p.m. tonight. Here we head to Brazil, same as this podium tier. And we've also got a championship battle there to decide. It's a bigger gap than what was heading into this race with this tier, but BSAS versus MLA will take to the track at 9 p.m. tonight in the Pinnacle tier, so that's not one you want to miss. Jono, Mercedes won the Constructors in the Pinnacle tier. I haven't asked you about this. Of course, we won 6th, and you've had success with the Mercedes team, so to see him on the top step again, does it give you a little smile?
Yeah, absolutely does. Yeah, I've got obviously a great history with Mercedes in the league, and you always have a bit of a soft spot for them, that's for sure. All the effort we put in to grab that Constructors Championship, as you mentioned, in season 6, so definitely good to see the team continuing to get great results, and they seem to always attract the good drivers. Obviously everyone wants to drive a Mercedes, or at least a lot of drivers do, and so yeah, they seem to continue to get the titles coming in.
Just riding on board with Gaza, who is in 8th position. Of course, it was his birthday yesterday, so as Dweller leaves the session, so what's happened there? He was currently in 4th place, but yeah, he's got a big gap. Jamie's got a big gap to try and close up to try and get that 4th. So perhaps Dweller will be able to get back in the session and get some points for some decent points for Sauber today, because it's looking like it might be a good day for Williams all round. Yeah, Gaza's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Gaza. Our podium tier coordinator has done a brilliant job this season, Jono, getting everything organised, and you have to say, although he's another year older, he's in 8th position, and if he continues to improve as he has these last few races, he'll be a driver perhaps to watch out for next season.
Yeah, definitely. He had that rough patch by his own admission in the middle of the season. I think he switched to the wheel perhaps and struggled a little bit, but yeah, he's bounced back well the last couple of races, and I definitely think if he races on for next season, which I hope he does, he can be battling for podiums or even wins.
Dweller back in the session, so just wait for him to get back into his car, and then he'll be able to hold on to 4th position. But that battle for 3rd is looks like it's going to go to Matt Your Daddy, who's, of course, it's his home race, so that's another special moment for him. I believe that'll be his first podium as well, Matt Your Daddy, Jono. So wow, it'll be a happy day for him, I'm sure, in Brazil.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I know he's had a couple of good sort of half races where he's looked to be on for a great result, and then something's happened that's ruined his chances of picking up that podium. But let's hope he can bring it home today. He's definitely going about it the right way, and yeah, he'll be delighted, I'm sure, to pick up the podium you know, before season 10 is up, and yeah, he's nearly there.
Dweller is back in his car, by the way, Jono, so that is that. Okay. Jamie actually has gapped Kev by 10 seconds, so you were right. Jamie did have the pace on Kev today, and Kev's fallen into the clutches of Stifler by quite a margin now, within DRS, the Renault driver is. So this battle for 6th and 7th isn't over. Of course, Williams need as many points as they can score, with Techno not being able to race today, and Dweller in 4th position currently. Lap 34 out of 36, Jono, what's the gap?
The gap is 3.3 seconds.
3.3 seconds between first and second. That is the championship leader versus the championship contender, currently sitting in third place. He started this race 23 points behind. Will he finish it outside the championship hopes? And will Kian be able to hold on to be crowned the Season 10 Podium Tier Drivers Champion? We've only got a couple laps to get through, Jono, and what's Kian going to be feeling like now?
Yeah, the nerves will be jangling as he comes across the line nearly anyway to start laps 35 and 36. He's just passed a little bit of traffic, so he's now got clear track in front of him. And yeah, that finish line and championship is tantalisingly close to him now.
Yeah, riding on board with Bookster. He looks like he's just coming up to lap the two that are battling, Kev and Stifler. So Kev perhaps going to be a little bit less kind to let the Bookster through here, and I can already see the Bookster is not able to go through. And credit to Stifler there, he actually moves off track to let the Bookster through. But will Kev be able to do the same, or will he give a little bit of tough love? And he hasn't moved over yet, Jono. This is there's a bit of drama here. Oh, he's done it. He's done it now. Yeah, he moved over. He stayed in front for one corner, but honestly, I don't think Kev was ever going to do that. I think Kian's got this all under control on his own. The gap now is 3.4, so it did lose him 0.3 or so getting through those back markers, but Kian had to do the same. And yeah, they're about to enter the final lap of the race. So here we are. Kian is going to take the final lap in his Williams car, and as long as he finishes there, he will be crowned the champion. Bookster has done everything he can today, but I just think... Carry on.
Yeah, sorry, Jamie and Blotty Dweller are about to go side by side to turn 4 by the look of it. Blotty goes down the inside, Jamie leaves the door open, and Blotty Dweller does take that position, so demotes Jamie back down to 5th, and Blotty Dweller up into 4th. What
happened there? Because Dweller was in 4th comfortably. When he got back in the car, it was quite a margin, so do you think he might come into the pits? He did come into the pits, which is exactly what's happened. But I'm going to have to ride on board with Bookster as we come across the line, because I can't see, obviously, Kian's car is showing at turn 3 at the moment, which isn't the case. So I'll have to ride on board with Bookster, Jono, and as they come up to the last twisty part of this track, he's only got a few corners to go, and then he will be crowned the champion. And I imagine the controller will exit his hands, and he'll be jumping for joy. And talk me through it. I'll let you talk me through it, Jono, because I can't see exactly where he is. He's coming up the hill, I take it.
Yeah, he is. He's coming around turn 15, so the final corner. He's already starting to weave. He's already celebrating as he's about to cross the line. He crosses the line now, and Kian is crowned Season 10 Podium Tier World Champion.
Kian is the champion, so there you have it. Kian has won the championship in the Podium Tier, and the Bookster crosses the line. I'm sure he'll be disappointed, but I'm sure he'll also congratulate Kian. What an absolute season the Williams driver has had. The rookie, of course, he hasn't raced F1 TS Hub, and he has taken the championship in his first season here at F1 TS Hub. So, wow, what an achievement, Jono.
Yeah, great achievement, you have to say. A champion's drive as well. Pole position, led from start to finish, good strategy, no mistakes. What more could you say? He's an absolutely deserving champion.
So Matt, your daddy, does cross the line in 3rd as well to take the position, a podium for his home race. Dweller looks like he's going to come across the line in 4th. So Jono, do you just want to quickly work out for me the gap between Williams and Sauber, so I can let everyone know as we head into the last race?
I will have a look for you now.
Another top 5 finish for Jamie, so congratulations to him as they all hit the wall as they cross the line. But today's story and the press room will read next week: Kian is crowned champion, Jono. Kian is the Season 10 Podium Tier champion. Absolute massive congratulations. He'll be on the top step for this Brazilian Grand Prix, and he can enter the last race without a worry in the world. And look at him, he's overjoyed, he's celebrating on the chat, and I can tell that he is a happy man. Congratulations to Kian, and of course congratulations to all the podium finishers at today's race. Jono, have you managed to work out that the gap?
I haven't. I can't get the standings up on my computer in front of me at the moment.
Okay. I'll see if I can do some mathematics on the spot. So there was a 45-point gap heading into this race. Williams were behind Sauber. I'll just quickly do confirmation of the results before we go to that. So Kian wins the race. He wins the championship, and he is, as we've mentioned, the season 10 podium tier champion. So congratulations from the whole F1 TS Hub team and the whole community for Kian being crowned the champion. Bookster 2.5 seconds behind. It just wasn't enough today, and I'm sure he'll be back fighting ever stronger next season. Matty Daddy takes third at his home race. Dweller takes fourth to score the only points for Sauber today. The constructors will go down to the last race of the season. Jamie takes fifth, another top 5 for him. Kev comes home in sixth. Didn't have the quite pace today, but he still scored a few points for Williams, which is what they need. Stifler takes 7th after a couple mistakes. Gaza finishes ahead of Greenfin in 8th, and Greenfin takes 9th, so the Red Bull versus Haas will continue to next week. Tejar scores the final point, and we've got Razor, Spider Atlas, Jonas and Ali who make up the back. Ali, of course, failed to finish the race with a DNF. So a couple penalties for the drivers near the back, but we have a champion, Jono, and have you been able to work out yet exactly what... I'm
looking now, so the gap was 45 points, so we've got Kev in 6th, so he's picked up 8 points, and obviously Kian winning on 25, so that's 33 points for the Williams team, and we have got Boffy Dweller in 4th, so he has picked up 12 points for Sauber.
So will that make it 24 points from my calculations?
21.
The gap will be 12 plus 12. That,
yes, it will.
Yeah, so 24 points as they head into the final race of the season. Williams versus Sauber. Hopefully Techno Thriller will be back for next week so we can see Kev and Kian go all out against Techno Thriller and Dweller for the championship of the constructors. But finally, Jono, perhaps we should invite Kian to the chat, and we can see if we can just have a quick word with him, because we know he does have a mic. So let's just invite him in, and
drove a great race himself. He didn't quite have enough there, but pretty much error-free as well. And you know, he pushed Kian all the way, which is all he could do.
Yeah, you can't take anything away from Bugster. You know, since he got the wheel, he's finished on the podium every single race, taking a couple wins at least along the way. So he's definitely going to be one to watch for next season, Jono. And we'll just see if Kian is able to join us. I can see he's got his mic there, so hopefully he'll be able to join in. And here he is, the man himself. Kian, congratulations on your championship, mate. How does it feel? Good
well
stuff.
Done, Kian. Great drive.
What was going through your head? Obviously, you took pole position in what looked like soaking wet conditions, and then it started inters, and you had to pick the right moment to switch, and it looked like you played your strategy perfect. Talk us through the race from your perspective. Where did you feel the nerves? Kian, sorry, I'm just gonna have to interrupt you. I don't think they can hear you on the stream, so I don't know if you've got your settings on the chat so that whether you can allow it to be heard on broadcasts or not. But they're saying they're.
If you go to party settings and then allow voice to be shared.
Yeah, check the box.
Always allow once.
So we'll have to do this all again, Kian. How does it feel to be the podium tier champion? I'm sure you won't mind to answer this one twice.
Well, it feels great. I wasn't exactly expecting it to happen today, but it happened. So I'll take it. No pressure next week now. But yeah, it feels great.
You spoke about your race, and obviously when you had to pick the right time to pit. The last few laps where Bookster was closing in, obviously you had a comfortable gap, but it was obviously one mistake would have just cost you to win it today. So the last couple laps, I'm sure you weren't feeling as nervous as Lewis Hamilton was, but I imagine you were a bit on the edge of your seat.
I was a little bit, because basically me and Kev, we had a bit of a mix-up in the middle sector. I'm not sure if you caught that on the stream, but basically I was trying to lap him. And he was like, he kept getting in my way, so I lost about 3 seconds there. But it wasn't too bad. I don't mind that. So he's been a good teammate all season. So
we were wondering when Bookster was gonna come past, whether he'd kind of hold them up a bit. But he was a good sport and he let him through. But
I told him, don't let him through. Or let him through. Let him through.
Next week, the constructors is still all not over. Of course, you and Kev have, 24 points behind you are heading into the final race. Do you think you guys can do it?
Oh, it's a tight one. What's the gap? Is it 20?
24 points.
I want to say 24. So we basically almost halved the gap today. It's going to be a tight one, but if we put the practice in, it might happen. Let's see. Let's see what happens.
Good stuff. So next week, the constructors up for grabs. Jono, any questions you got for our new champion?
Yeah, I just thought it was a fantastic drive around you. That you've been consistent all season. What do you practice most? Do you practice time trial, or do you practice race distances, or what? How do you go about being so consistent every race?
Well, I basically just put a lot of I'd put like an hour of time trial in, and then I'll do the practice with like Mark, MLA, Jamie, people like that on the Wednesday at the moment and Thursday. So yeah, that's basically my race.
Yeah, you've put the effort in, but it's paid off.
Yeah, that's great.
So, you're gonna have a beer tonight, Kian?
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course. Good stuff. And just finally, obviously we still got one race to go, but you'll have a trophy, obviously to show your achievements. But where can you go from here? You're a champion. What do you expect for your future at F1 TS Hub?
Well, I'll be very surprised if I don't go up to the pinnacle tier now. So hopefully, I just want to build on it next season, just make some sort of impression in the pinnacle tier. It's going to be tough because there's some real quick drivers, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully a podium or two.
There you go. So there you have it. Kian is the champion of the podium tier. Congratulations from all of us at F1 TS Hub, Kian, and enjoy your beer tonight, and good luck next week in the battle for the constructors. Thank you everyone for joining us. I myself am Jono. We've brought Kian the champion in. I myself and Nick. I've got Jono alongside. We say, Jono, I'm just trying to steal your championships now, mate.
Yeah, you are. Come on.
Yeah. We'll see you for the pinnacle tier at 9 PM. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one.